Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachahakodash. Double honors to my apostles, the great millstone, and peace and salutation to the hopeful members, the elect, the Bacharium, the house of David, that's been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last end times and to be the ruling governing body of the nation of Yasha'Allah. I want to go into how this is our last captivity. All right. This current captivity that we're in is our last one. All right. And this is where Esau is set up and he's ruling the whole earth as as it's been prophesied that he'll rule. All right. This is his blessing. Okay. This is his current time of ruling. But his blessing is going to be taken away once Yahushua returns, because that will result in the destruction of not just Babylon, but Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. Their system that will result in the destruction of their whole empire. Okay, second Ezra 6, verse 9, it says what? For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And actually, if we go up a verse above, it'll say this, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? So Ezra was asking the angel, all right? He was asking the angel, and this is in the Apocrypha, by the way. All right, this is way before Yahushai, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. This is way before his time. Okay, but he was asking the angel, when will be the parting asunder of times? When will we rule? All right, when will these heathens be put down? Okay, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right. So that goes to show you that this whole thing is all about Jacob and Esau, this whole story. And during this time of Esdras, Esau wasn't even in rulership, at this time. All right. Because this is, before the Greeks came in power. All right. I believe this is during the Medo-Persian. So Esau wasn't even in power. Okay. Yeah, because this is during this the Medo-Persian, second Esdras. All right. You see, because the Greek Empire was established in 325, 330 BC. Okay. So this whole story is about Jacob and Esau. And Esau, this is his blessing. He's ruling currently, but he's the end of the world. And we're the beginning of it that followeth. So this is our last captivity. All right. So this shows you that Esau is still here today, and we're being oppressed by this man. All right. Let's get Jeremiah. Because if you say that Esau is done away with, then Jacob, the children of Israel, should be ruling, right? And those people in Israel, those, Amalekites, they're not the children of Jacob, all right? They're the children of Esau, okay? They don't fit um, they don't fit the scripture where it says how when we return to our land that there will be no more war. 1948, May 14th, when they were established as an independent state, there was war the first day, the massacre of the Palestinians, okay? And they were going against several Arab nations. You can look it up. All right, so Jeremiah 51, verse, I believe it's actually 50. Let me see. Right. Jeremiah 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And where are we oppressed together as a majority? Because we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. But who was the whore that stood upon many waters upon that beast system, which is the NATO and EU? The whore is America. And this is where you find, many nations. That's the waters. The whore that sits upon, the many waters. sits upon the beast. All right, the many waters is the other nations, and you see, all right, a majority of the Israelite tribes over here. You know, it's why this is where you'll find the majority of the 12 tribes. So we're being oppressed together. All right, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says, and all that took them captives held them fast; they refused to let them go. Right? Our who are our oppressors? The Edomites. All right. They took the Southern Kingdom, brought them over here on cargo slave ships from West Africa and other parts of the world, from like Europe, Portugal. All right, they put the Northern Kingdom, the Arawaks, so-called Puerto Ricans, on cargo slave ships as well, and brought them to Europe and other places. The North American Indian. All right, it says, so they refuse to let us go though. All right, they want to keep us in bondage. They actually try to wipe away our history because we're the true Hebrew Israelites. They try to wipe away our history, and they know it. They know it. All right. The Redeemer is strong. That's Yahushai. All right. Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. A so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. Okay. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead. Thirdly, he shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. All right. And how will they be disquieted? How will Babylon, go down? All right. Revelation 18, verse 8. It says, therefore shall our plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. So Babylon is gonna be burned. How is it gonna be burned? What can cause a whole nation to burn on fire? Missiles, all right, and not just any missiles, but ICBM missiles, nuclear missiles. Okay, that's why the scriptures liken them unto a arrow. How they're gonna fly from one end of the earth, and that's gonna result in World War III. And you're already starting to see the climax of it. Russia and China, all right, Iran. You see, but has to be what the RFID chip has to be implemented first. All right, for sure we're seeing that in headline news. So hey, this is our last captivity, man. Okay, so hey, rejoice. All right, because hey, finally, man. Hey, we have long to see this day. Prophets, the prophets of old have long to see this day. Okay. Let's see. So like it, bear me for 1 second. All right, here we are. Jeremiah 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord power liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. All right. And that was our first captivity, which means house of bondage. And now this is our last captivity. And this is likened, unto Egypt. You see? That's why you look at the back of the dollar bill, you see a pyramid, all right, different, city names that was named after Egypt, like Memphis. All right. So this is spiritual Egypt. And it says, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. Where are we at? In North America. All right. In the northern hemisphere of the world. And from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into the land of their father it's like, and I'll bring them into the land into their land that I gave unto their fathers. All right. And that's the land of Israel. And that's where we're going back to, man. All right. And Babylon is gonna you know, be disquieted. It's gonna be utterly burned, man. All right, that's the future that's coming to America. Isaiah 14, Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. We're in a transitional worlds to come, and we're going to be ruling, and no more the curses upon us. We're going to be ruling in everlasting and peace, all right, and sovereignty. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city cease, and how will the golden city America cease? By nuclear destruction. It's being economically destroyed right now. All right, we're seeing the climax of that. It's collapsing, and this is gonna be it's gonna physically collapse and be destroyed. Salakia. But that's the future. All right, and this is our last captivity. All right, and it's gonna be a mighty captivity. You know, because it said it will no one be said how the Lord delivered us out of Egypt, but delivered us out of the land of the north. We're going out in style. All right. This time the elect, whoever they may be, they're gonna go out, be abducted by chariots, by so-called UFOs. All right, the 1/3. Okay, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. Okay, so the salvation will be strange unto the world, because the elect will be delivered by chariots, by so-called UFOs. All it'll be so strange. It says that let me read it again. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. Yeah, when Yahushua returns, he's gonna return with glory. All right, let's get that real quick in Matthew 24. Matthew 24, verse, let me see, I believe 30. It says, and there shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the. Actually, let me read verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation, those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Right, that nuclear winter. All right, that smoke that's gonna come from the nuclear missiles. All right, it's gonna go off the atmospheres, man, and that's gonna cleanse the earth. It says, and the stars shall fall from heaven, the ICBMs, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Right. This whole earth is gonna rock to and fro, and this kingdom is gonna be destroyed, man. You see, and in the midst of that, Yahushua is gonna beam up the elect, man. All right, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, chariots of heaven, with power and great glory. You see, he's coming in the midst of when these ICBM missiles be shot off. All right, so impact and hit their target. Which is America. It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven from to the other. You see? All right, so the elect will be beamed up, delivered. All right. Let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 2. It says, when they see it, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of its salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. So beyond all that these people look for, all right, because they think that the rapture will happen. They have a bugged out, bugged out doctrine that they believe how the Lord's gonna return, but He's actually gonna return with chariots, all right, and they liken them unto the clouds. Okay, and chariots can actually take form of clouds too. Sometimes you see a cloud and it looks different from the rest. All right, it has a certain look. Most likely that might be a chariot. Okay, you see, most likely that might be a chariot. All right, but Again, this is our last captivity, man. All right, this is our last captivity. And call Yahweh Bashim Shah, because this place is got to be destroyed. It's time that we rule, man. It's time for rulership. It's time for peace. It's time for the earth to rejuvenate. It's time for our people to be free and be right and be programmed to be righteous unto Yahweh Bashim Shah, so we may be his people again. It's time for the earth to rejuvenate and a righteous vibration to emit, you know, around this whole world, man. It's time for, you know, the earth to be clean, to be cleansed. All right. It's time for our enemies to be put down forever and be in slavery. You know. It's Isaiah chapter. Uh, yeah, I think I'm in the wrong. Isaiah chapter 62, verse 4. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, the land of Israel. But thou shalt be called Heth Zebah, and thy land Beulah, for the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee, and as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee. All right. So hey, that's coming, man. You know. Okay, rejoicing. All right. I'm actually curious. I want to look up, in the blue letter, these cities. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna come right back. All right. So I found it. All right. The first one was uh, Hezipha. Okay, which means it says a fanciful name for Palestine. Hef Hefzibah. It's like Hefzibah. All right, which means my delight is in her. It was also the queen of King Hezekiah and mother of Manasseh. All right, a name for Jerusalem. So it's like a nickname for Jerusalem. Hevzibah, which means again, my delight is in her. All right, figurative name of Zion. All right, let me go back to the other one. All right, Beulah. Baal, not the Satan Baal, but it's pronounced Baal. Baal, Bala, yeah, Baal, Baal, which means to be master, hence to marry, have dominion over, be husband. All right, dominion, to marry, be lord, to marry, rule over, possess, own. All right, which I actually like that name. Okay, so let's read it again. I'm gonna close out. It says, Isaiah 62, verse 4, thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate. All right, we're getting our land back. But thou shalt be called Hevzibah, my delight in her, and thy land, Beulah. All right, because we're going to possess our land again. All right, or Baal. For the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land should be married. Right, we're going to put, and when you marry something, that means you join unto them. All right, so we're going to possess, gain our land back. All right, and we're going to be joined unto Yahweh Bashmashai as a nation. So with that, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash, double honor to apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the hopeful members, the elect. Shalom.